Hello, and welcome to the Just-in-Time Disaster Assessment, or DA, training webinar. This video is designed to quickly teach you the basics of working as an American Red Cross disaster assessment volunteer. This will get you on your feet and ready to get out there and help people in no time. After this webinar, you should be able to perform a detailed disaster assessment, describe safety precautions, identify the uses of Forms 5739, 5739A, and 5739B, accurately complete a street sheet Form 5739, identify criteria for each damage classification category, and describe and classify damaged dwellings. Firstly, what is disaster assessment? Well, it's the process of observing, collecting, assessing, processing, and recording information about what has happened to each home affected by a disaster. Without this information gathering, it's impossible to determine what our response will be, as the assessment directly impacts what we'll be able to provide for each client. There are three kinds of DA: impact assessment, preliminary damage assessment, and detailed damage assessment. Impact assessment details the broad effects of the storm, power outages, road closures, etc. Preliminary damage assessment is done to get a very basic idea of the number of homes affected in most heavily impacted areas, what kind of damage and the severity of the damage, typically referred to as windshield DA, meaning a quick look from the car. Finally, there is the detailed damage assessment, which is taking a look at each home from three sides in the affected area and labeling each home with its number and a damage level. This is done in order to provide information for caseworkers working with each individual family to determine the level of assistance they may be able to receive. This is the type of DA that we'll be focusing on for the remainder of the presentation. For your assignment, you are provided instructions, street sheets, contact information, mobile phone or radio, list of shelters and feeding locations, maps and/or GPS, and a clipboard and black pens. Safety is always the first priority for any Red Cross worker. If you can't help yourself, you can't help anyone else. Keep these precautions in mind. Be aware of your surroundings. Stay away from downed power lines or moving or standing water. Never smoke, and always obey no trespassing signs. Remember, people can sometimes be very territorial. While performing detailed damage assessments, you may come across people in the neighborhood that will ask you for some information as to what's happening. Make sure to be polite, pass along any information that you know and only what you know, and end the conversation quickly and appropriately. You have more houses to see, after all. Now let's go over the damage qualifications in more detail. Let's look at non-flood affected, cosmetic damage, some shingles and/or siding missing, debris against or around dwelling, mobile home skirting is damaged or missing, dwelling is livable without repairs. Essentially, any damage that makes the house look worse but it can still house people without problems. Non-flood minor. Minor structural damage. Damage to small sections of roof, several broken windows, large portions of roofing material and/or siding missing, or penetration damage without structural damage. This classification is for homes that need repairs, but the people in the home could live there while the damage was repaired, plywood over broken windows, for example. Non-flood major. Large portions of roofing material missing or debris penetration, one or two walls missing, mobile home's slight twisting or bowing of frame, forceful penetration of walls with debris. This classification is for homes that could be feasibly repaired, but no one would be able to live in the house while those repairs were being undertaken. Non-flood destroyed. Total collapse. Residence has shifted on the foundation. Not economically feasible to repair. Mobile home walls collapsed, home is turned over, frame is buckled, or significantly twisted. Arguably the easiest classification to provide on site. If the home would need a complete rebuilding job, it's most likely destroyed. Non-flood inaccessible. Observation prohibited by standing water, impassable bridges, or roads. If you can't see the home from three sides, it's inaccessible. Flood affected. Less than 6 inches of water in the living area of a single-family home or apartment. Less than 3 inches of water in the living area of a mobile home. Flood damage is simple. Just check for the watermark. If any watermarks are close to borderline between two different classifications, choose the higher damage classification. Flood minor. Between 6 and 18 inches of water in the living area of a single-family home or apartment. Between 3 and 12 inches of water in the living area of a mobile home. Flood major. Between 18 and 36 inches of water in the living area of a single-family home or apartment, or between 12 and 24 inches of water in the living area of a mobile home. Flood destroyed. More than 36 inches of water in the living area of a single-family home or apartment. More than 24 inches of water in the living area of a mobile home. Flood inaccessible. There's standing water or impassable roads or bridges. Let's take a look at some homes and see what we think their level of damage is. Keep in mind, we're only seeing these homes from one angle, so it's harder to determine a damage level. Remember, if the damage is close between two classifications, choose the higher classification. How about this home? It's difficult to see, but it looks like there's a hole in the roof that is rather large. I would classify this home as major due to that roof damage. What about this one? We can see some siding damage, and there's clearly a tarp on the roof. This home looks like it's minor, as it may only have some cosmetic damage, but there's some doubt as to the amount and extent of roof damage. This home is a pretty open and shut case. This home is destroyed. The only thing that's left is the foundation on cinder blocks. This home clearly has massive roof damage, and it looks like it has one wall down. This home should be classified as major due to the fact that it can be repaired, but it can't be currently habited. This home has a good amount of shingle damage and some broken windows. This home would be classified as minor, as the home will require repair due to the windows, but you can still inhabit it while doing so. This home is completely taken off of its foundation. This home is destroyed. Now let's look at some flooding damage. This home looks like it has about 3 feet or 36 inches of water in the single-family home, according to the watermark. This would classify the home as on the borderline between major and destroyed. Remember, always default to the higher classification if the damage is on the borderline, so we should call this home destroyed. This mobile home looks like it has about 2 feet or 24 inches of water in the home due to the watermark. This would also be borderline between major and destroyed, so bump it up again. This mobile home, according to the waterline, looks like it wasn't damaged that badly. However, as you can see, this home is also shifted off of its foundation. I would classify this home as destroyed. This is the form where we document our detailed damage assessments, called a 5739, or, more commonly, as a street sheet. Here's how to fill one out. Put in all of the corresponding information at the top. DR number and name should be given to you before you all go out to look at homes. Make sure to write the street name both at the top and at the side where a space is labeled for you to write the name. Very important. Each street gets its own sheet, unless there need to be multiple sheets for one street. However, you can't put 2 streets on the same sheet. Geographical reference is nice but not required. Where it says house number, you write the number of the house, unit or apartment number if applicable, then circle the corresponding type of home. S equals single family, M equals mobile, A equals apartment, under the corresponding damage classification. Then list the number of floors in the home, whether it has a basement or not, how much water is in the living area in inches, how much water is in the basement in inches, and whether the electricity is on. Finally, make sure to put a small description in the description box. It's important to have a good description on your street sheet, as that description provides the evidence for the classification. Percentages and counts are more effective and faster to record than long narrative descriptions. So a couple of good examples would be 25% of shingles blown off or 3 walls collapsed, whereas bad examples would include debris through walls and roof or 2 fatalities, which the fatalities don't indicate the damage level. This is the 5739A, or the Supplemental Detailed Disaster Assessment Form, which provides a summary of the street sheet. It shows the percentages of types of damage and the types of homes within a street range. The 5739B is the Area Assessment Form, which provides a snapshot of what the most affected areas are, the geographical boundaries of the area, and the types of damage within that area. You should now be able to perform a detailed disaster assessment. You should know that safety precautions are necessary. You should know how to accurately complete the street sheet or Form 5739. Should be able to identify criteria for each damage classification category and describe and classify damaged dwellings. Congratulations! You have just completed the Just-in-Time Training for Disaster Assessment Fundamentals. You now have a basic understanding of the different classifications of damage, how to assess homes for said damage, and document that damage on the detailed disaster assessment sheet. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that your experience volunteering with the American Red Cross to help those who need your assistance so much is a truly gratifying one.